at least mom will be listening.
So if you bring up Counter Stallions, we're just not going to listen to you.
Number one is number one.
1,000 miles away from me. Hello and welcome to the Faith Sports Leadership Podcast, where we talk about three things: faith, sports, and leadership. My name is Ryan, as one of your hosts, joined as always by my brother and co-host Drew Lutz in sunny Sarasota, Florida. Drew, how is it down there today?
Beautiful day, sunny, gorgeous. I'm loving it.
Awesome. Well, we are also joined by a special guest, and this has been one of the cool things about this podcast is it started out as an excuse for Drew and I to give really bad sports takes and talk about the Bible a little bit, but it has quickly turned into an opportunity to connect with people all over the country, and this one in particular is really, really unique and special because I've been actually a fan of his for a few years now. He is an Alabama high school basketball legend. Over 3,000 points scored at his high school ball in Alabama. Ended up going to Liberty University, where I went to seminary, so I was able to watch him as an alum. And then has recently, this past year, transferred to Belmont. So two of the best mid-major basketball programs, like historically, Liberty and Belmont. This guy has been a pivotal role in his 3 years at Liberty, and now is going to play a key role for Coach Alexander at Belmont. We are super excited and honored to be joined by our guest, Brody Peebles. Brody, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I appreciate that intro, but super excited to join y'all and really, really appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely, man. A couple quick questions before we dive in. One, now that you're living in Nashville, Tennessee, have you become a country music star?
Definitely a country music fan. It's everywhere here, and but yeah, can't sing to save my life, but definitely a big fan.
Well, that's awesome. And then, Nashville's great. Belmont, if you haven't been to Belmont, the campus is incredible. Downtown Nashville is incredible. All of Nashville is incredible. But their basketball facility there is really, really cool. Curb Event Center. I got the chance to go to a game there my senior year of college as we were playing down some NAIA teams down in Tennessee. Just an incredible atmosphere if you're down in that area, get to some games. But then also, Brody, you have a really cool opportunity for people to connect with you at Brody Peebles Basketball Academy. If you go to BrodyPeebles1.com or go check them out on Instagram at BrodyPeebles1. We'll put the link in the description and whatnot. Brody Peebles Basketball Academy. Tell the listeners a little bit about that. How'd that get started? What's kind of the hope of that?
Yeah, so it was basically I've done a little bit of training here and there, and I love the skills training side of basketball, and kind of started with I trained a few kids here and there, and then not being back home, being able to like do it in person, I was like, what's the best way for me to like do this? So spent some time, made a website, made some online training where you can go and buy that, and it kind of gives you a step-by-step plan for whether you're a guard or a post player or a younger player. So yeah, it's basically just like a combination of I'm doing my like master's in business right now. So like I love business, entrepreneurship, and I love basketball. So it's kind of how I mixed, those two.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, BrodyPeebles1.com, the Brody Peebles Basketball Academy. If you watch him play, he is a very skilled player, so he's someone that you definitely want to learn from. So excited to highlight that. We'll put the link in the description below. But for those of you, if this is your first time listening, we talk about three things here on the Faith Sports Leadership Podcast: faith, sports, and leadership. We kind of break it up into those sections. And to start us off, we're going to be diving into the faith section, where we'll be reading a quick verse from the book of Hebrews, and then we'll just have a quick discussion about some takeaways there. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the verse a couple times, and then Drew will start with you, some takeaways, and then Brody will head over to you with what are some takeaways from this verse as well. The verse is Hebrews 12, verse 1, and this is what it says: "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." Hebrews 12, 1. I'll read it one more time, Drew, and then we'll throw it over to you. "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Again, that's Hebrews 12:1. Drew, what are some initial thoughts as you read through that verse?
Yeah, this verse is I really enjoy it. I think when we look at the great cloud of witnesses and all those people surrounding us, I think we look back to the stories in the Bible and all the people, their testimonies and their stories, and when we go off path, because it's so easy to in this world, you can remind yourself by going back to that and keep running the race that God has for us, and look back to those stories and see how they did it, and then you do it and see what God has in store for you.
Absolutely. Brody, what are some initial thoughts there from Hebrews 12:1?
Yeah, man. I would say something that sticks out to me is saying run your race. I think for me in my faith walk, sometimes I want to run other people's races or maybe not the race that God has set out for me and I also see think about sin that easily entangles and it's a weight on us and something that holds us down. We think that sometimes sin's so appealing and we think it'll make our lives better and it might feel good in the moment, but it's something that actually weighs us down and entangles us and keeps us from, running our race.
Yeah, that's really good. I like how you focused on run your race and how easy it can be for us to try to run other people's race. I remember, so Brody, one thing that we have in common is I actually transferred as well, was at school for 2 years and transferred to Bethel where I finished my career. Drew also transferred as well. I always brag, I transferred before the portal, so I transferred before it was school, but it is what it is. But I remember when I transferred to Bethel, they had just come off of a historic season where they had, a near perfect regular season. They were number one in the country in NAIA ball. They had a couple like All-American guards that were just incredibly good that both graduated. And I remember when I transferred in, I thought, I need to be those two guys. And I realized really quickly that I am a really bad version of those two guys, but I'm a pretty good version of myself. And it took me really all off season and even into some of the regular season to realize, I'm not going to be jumping up and dunking like Clay Yo did the year before. I'm not going to be going iso ball. Like I'm going to play my game. And I think that's so relatable, not only on the court and as you were experiencing transferring to Belmont and whatnot, but also off the court as well. Like we need to have our own personal relationship with Jesus, walk into the calling that he has called each and every one of us to individually. Like he's such a big God, but he's also such an intimate God. And I think so often we can get caught up in the bigness of him and trying to match other people's calling or trying to pursue other people's purpose. And that's just, we're not very good at being other people. We're pretty good at being ourselves. And so thank you for highlighting that, Brody. I think that was good. So now we're going to dive into just some quick talk to let you give some background of who you are as a sports guy. I mentioned earlier you played high school basketball in Alabama. I was telling Drew before we hopped on, I think I've met maybe one person that played high school sports in Alabama, and I don't think I ever asked him what that was like. What is the high school athletic environment in Alabama? What are the big sports? What is that kind of like?
Yeah, so I mean Alabama, especially my high school football is going to be huge. High school baseball is going to be huge. Being in the SEC sphere, those are obviously going to be pretty big. But I was really lucky. I grew up in a hometown that really supported the high school sports, and every game would usually always have a good crowd, and you always had really good support from local people. So I would say, athletics is huge, and I was really fortunate to go to a school that kind of highlighted that, and it's kind of lucky. My high school is always really good in baseball and football, and then kind of through my high school career, we kind of ended up being really good at basketball. So it's kind of fun to kind of see that shift.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now I'm just pulling up a quick little bio of you. Like you scored over 3,000 career points in high school. So we'll ask like how the heck do you even do that really quickly. You were the Alabama 6A Player of the Year in 2021 and also a finalist the year before. You were the number 2 ranked prospect in the state of Alabama by Prep Hoops, all state selection, regional finals, all that type of stuff. So you obviously had some success. Starting with the 3,000 points, how does that even happen? Like, do you guys play a ton of games? Did you just score a ton of points? Like, are you just balling out? What'd that look like?
I think I got really lucky. I had a really, really good high school coach that believed in me and trusted me, and and let me be aggressive and kind of how we played. We played real fast and try to get up and down the court and pressure the ball, force turnovers. So it was kind of a Honestly, I worked really hard and worked on my game, but it was kind of a perfect fit with my high school and my coach trusted me a lot, and so I got to kind of play my game. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. What is one of your favorite memories of high school ball there down in Alabama?
whew, um, probably my junior year made it to the regional finals. I want to say the first time since like 2003 or something like that at my high school. So that was a special moment and special team. And there's just nothing like playing with guys you grew up with and, accomplishing something like that. So that was a really cool experience for me.
That's awesome. And then, yeah, obviously, number two ranked player in the state of Alabama. You find yourself ending up in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is a beautiful campus, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. How'd you end up going to play at Liberty? What did that look like, and what are some memories you have there?
Yeah, so I don't know how much people that are listening know about Liberty, but Liberty is one of the biggest Christian universities in the world. Um, Grew up in the church, but probably started taking my faith serious as I kind of got into high school. And I really, really wanted to go to a Christian university. And so Coach McKay recruited me and loved him, loved the staff, loved the university. And so it was kind of a perfect storm of really good basketball program and getting to go to a Christian university. So that was really appealing to me. So going there is an incredible experience. Convocation, you have people come in, you have like 2 nights a week, worship, the basketball program, faith is super integrated. So it was really, really good for me in kind of those college and those formative years where you're kind of developing like who you are, what your identity is, what you really believe in. So I'm super thankful to have kind of been in that environment where Jesus was highlighted and Jesus was, more important than even, the basketball side of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach McKay, he's a legend. He's one of the best coaches. Like he'll probably be a Hall of Fame coach just because of not only what he's done at Liberty, but for Coach Bennett at Virginia and whatnot too as well. And so he obviously gets to play for a great coach. What is one memory that sticks out to you at Liberty? You had a lot of success on the court, probably some cool experiences off the court. So what is one memory that sticks out?
Yeah, I had a bunch of really good moments. I was really fortunate to be on some really good teams. Um, I would say my sophomore year had a really good year. Fell short in the conference championship, but got to play in the NIT. Won against Villanova at home. Obviously, a really storied program. Got to go play at Wisconsin. So that little stretch where we kind of fell short of like our goal, but it was a really cool experience to get to play, some of those storied programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember that against Kennesaw State, maybe or something like that.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
1 point game. Man, that was
yeah, brutal.
crazy. I can imagine. And now you find yourself in Nashville, Tennessee, at Belmont. What was the process like? How'd you end up at Belmont? What did that look like? And what are your first thoughts so far as you're heading into this season?
Yeah, Belmont recruited me out of high school, so I knew a lot of the staff already, knew Coach Alexander very well. So it was a little bit of a easier decision for me once I kind of got in the portal, talked with a coach here, and it was kind of I was really interested in Belmont, a little closer to home, how they play style. Obviously, been really successful, 14 straight 20-win seasons, like NCAA tournaments, been a really, really good team. So definitely had a lot of interest in Belmont. And once they kind of expressed that back, it was a pretty easy decision. And then since I've been here, it's been awesome. I think it's exceeded my expectations in a lot of ways and love my teammates, love Nashville, love how we play unselfish, play for each other. So it's been really, really good so far and really excited to, get the season started.
Absolutely, man. We're excited to get to watch you. If you season kicks off, I think November 4th at
Hmm.
home at the Curb Event Center. So make sure you get over there if you're in the Nashville area. Yeah, I mean it's one of the best environments in college basketball is Belmont. It kind of feels like a classy place when you walk in and then you go watch the
Hmm.
court and you just see some really good basketball. So make sure you get down to the Curb Event Center to watch some Belmont basketball this year, and watch Brody ball out with a good Belmont team. Hey friends, Ryan here, interrupting the podcast just for a second to tell you about a book that I would love, love, love if you picked up. It's the book Rooted Influence, Identifying the Root of Lasting Leadership. Now, I wrote the book, so I'm very biased, but I think it is a good book. It's a fiction story around the football world and the business world that has some real and applicable leadership principles, but also some faith perspective stuff that I think could be really helpful for you. If you like faith, sports, and leadership, you might just enjoy this book. It's a really easy read. Most people get it done in a day or two, but I would really love it if you picked up a copy. Rooted Influence. It's available on Amazon for only like $8 paperback. It's like $1 for the ebook, or you can go to ryanspencerlutz.com to learn more. The book is Rooted Influence, Rooted, Influence, Identifying the Root of Lasting Leadership. I would love if you picked up a copy. Thanks, friends. We're going to head back to the podcast now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a little bit more serious sports talk, a little different type of discussion where it's been one of my favorite parts of this podcast is really getting your perspective on, faith in sports and how you've been able to combine that. And so first question we'll start out with is this. How has the game of basketball shaped the man that you are today?
Yeah, I think life is a great teacher in general, and I think that my basketball career has been unique in a lot of ways. So I think, you experience success, and then as I went to college, I've experienced a lot of success, experienced some lows, experienced playing a lot, not playing as much. So I think it teaches you to, one is discipline. Like, can I be the same person? Can I work the same? Can I show up every day regardless of the circumstance? Because I think that's really applicable to our faith. Like, does our faith in what we do daily and what we believe about Jesus, is it change based on if we're getting what we want, if things are going our way? So I think that's been something that basketball has taught me. Like, can I be the same person day in, day out, regardless of the circumstance? And then I would say it's grown and matured in my faith. I think when you're not getting something that you want, you kind of have to lean into your faith and trust that, hey, this might not be or look like how I want it to, or even if it does look exactly how I want it to, like to not get too high and then lack humility, lack a spirit of humility. So I think basketball's been a great teacher for me, and I think super grateful for that because sometimes in the moment it might not feel real good, but you kind of look back in retrospect and see kind of some of those life lessons that you learn along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good. So you brought up a little bit of faith stuff there and how it shaped you. In a world where it's so easy to separate and compartmentalize our life, how have you found a way to blend your love for basketball and pursuit of success and achievement, but also your faith? Have you been able to kind of combine those and blend your faith and your love for basketball?
Yeah, I think a couple of things come to mind. I think one is basketball has given me a great platform. I think sometimes, whether it's right or wrong, when you have success and it's kind of a worldly thing like athletics, that people might listen more closely to what you're doing, or look a little closer at what you're doing. So it's given me a platform. Maybe after a game, someone, great game, asks you something that's like, it gives you a chance to like give the glory back to Jesus. And I think that's been something that's really cool. And then I think another thing that comes to mind is like sometimes your work can be your worship, like how I go about, my daily stuff as a player, how I perceive it, not making basketball an idol or not letting basketball use me, but using basketball, to glorify the Lord. So I think it's kind of a mix of that. It's like, how can I use this to worship the Lord? And then, if I do get any success, from this, how can I give the glory back to the Lord?
Yeah, that's incredible. Really good answer. All right, last question for me before we dive into some leadership talk. What are some advice you would give to a younger athlete, a younger person who might be in a similar state? Maybe not scoring 3,000 points in high school basketball because that's absurd, but just some advice you would give to some younger athletes.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think I remember I did this Bible study at Liberty with a couple of guys, and like the talk was about, it's like obviously when you're a player, you want to work really hard, you want to be the best player you can possibly be, but sometimes you can do that and it might not work out how you want. So we kind of came up with this saying. It was like, I'm going to wholeheartedly pursue this, try my best to be the best player I can. But if I don't get what I want, I'm going to trust in God's plan for my life. So it's like, how can I work hard, pursue this, everything I have, and then I'm still going to be okay because I know my identity is in Jesus, gave everything I had, and I'm going to trust, the plan that the Lord has for me. And if that's not in it, or if it is, so be it. But I'm going to trust, I'm going to trust in God's plan for my life.
Yeah, that's really good. That actually, and I don't mean to turn this toward me, but a couple Sundays ago, as a church, we're going through the Book of Ruth, and I had the chance to preach on the guy named Boaz, who made a decision to like let Ruth continue to get grain and like actually feed her, take care of her and Naomi. And one of the points that God kind of put on my heart was we need to put our focus on our decisions and put our faith in the destination and like exactly what you were saying, like we're going to wholeheartedly pursue exactly what we think God's calling us to pursue and then just trust in him with the results. And
Right.
it's easier said than done. Absolutely. I'm a bit of a control
Mm-hmm.
freak, and as a competitor I know it can be difficult to do that, but finding the faith in our destination but putting our focus on our decisions. Man, that was really good. I'm excited to clip this up and post it all over social media because that was some good answers. Um, now we're going to dive into a bit of the leadership section. Drew, I'm going to let you kind of take over and run with this.
Yeah, so our quote comes from John F. Kennedy. It says, "Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other." Ryan, we'll start with you with your thoughts.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sitting in my garage right now, in my fake garage studio, and there's the neighbors' dogs are barking. So if you hear that, I apologize. My first initial thoughts with this is just like leaders are learners. I never liked school or learning growing up. It was kind of just a thing that I did so that I could play sports, that type of thing, hang out with friends. But there came a shift in me when I was actually in ministry for first year or so, and decided to pursue a master's. And it was the first time that I really, really like enjoyed school because what I was learning was something that I could apply. And then looking back, like there were so many missed opportunities that I had to apply things that I was learning in the classroom, whether it be in middle school, high school, even throughout college, that I was just sitting there kind of snoozing through, not really taking, like I kind of talked about, separating, compartmentalizing the areas of our life. For me, class was just like something that I would get through. I was really good at finding a way to get a grade and not really good at learning. But I learned as a leader, like, man, you find a desire to learn. And so I think that's kind of like leaders are learners. We've all heard that quote before, but there's a desire within us, within the really good leaders, to just continue to learn and better yourselves that way.
Yeah, that's good. Brody, what do you got?
Yeah, I think I love what you said that leaders are learners. I think that's really good, and I think that's really true in leaders I've been around and good leaders that I've been around. I think one thing that I thought of is I don't think anyone likes a leader that thinks they know everything. So I think one thing that attracts, like I know for me, like as I look, maybe a mentor, someone that's leading me, someone that's, has a spirit of humility, that the truth is they probably do know a lot, and they might know a little more than me, but the way they live and the way they lead their life is that, they want to learn, they want to continue to gain knowledge and to be a better leader, whether it be in faith or as a coach or whatever it is. But I love that leaders are learners. And then I think, a leader that knows he doesn't know everything is a really good leader.
Yeah, no, that's good. I completely agree with that. Um, Brody, how have you found ways to lead regardless of maybe not having the position or title, or what are ways that you found to lead?
Yeah, I think it's been something that, has changed as I've gotten older. And I think that I'm usually more of a quiet guy. I'm not super vocal. So I think obviously, people say you can lead with your actions, and I think that's something that kind of has always been more natural to me. Show up. I'm gonna work hard, do the right things, try to be the best version of myself. And I think more recently, as I've gotten older, it's like challenging myself to use that vocal side. And I think leadership is just influence. And I think for the positions I've been in, like whether you like it or not, you have some form of influence. So I think taking that serious, and it's like, how can I with my words, with my action. Like I'm leaving every decision I make's making a vote towards, the person that I am and the person that I'm being perceived as. So it's like, how can I live my life and what I'm saying, what I'm doing to where it has, a positive experience on those people that, I have some influence on.
For sure. Ryan, I feel like you talk a lot about that with leadership and influence. It sounded like you were talking right there.
Yeah, I know. That was really good. No, it's that's leadership is influence, and we all have it. It's just what are we going to choose to do with it? So yeah, Brody, that was really good, man.
And then who are some leaders that kind of have shaped who you are today and helped you along your journey?
Yeah, I think I've been really fortunate to have some good ones. I think my dad has been super influential in my life, his faith, his work ethic, how he treats my mom, how he treats my brother, how he treats me. So kind of seeing firsthand, as got engaged this summer, so kind of seeing him as a appreciate appreciate it as a as a husband. I think that's something that's super important. And then, as someone who wants to have a family one day, seeing him as a dad, I think it's been huge. And then I've been really lucky. I had a great high school coach who I look up to a lot, how he led, how he believed in the people he was leading, the way that he pushed them to get the most out of them. And then the two college coaches that I have, I think, have been super impactful on me, the way they show up daily, who they are as a person. And I think one thing that's been super influential is, as a basketball coach or as a coach, it's pretty easy to care more about the basketball side of stuff. Obviously, I mean, this is your job, like you're getting paid to win games, to be successful, but the way they've been able to care about the person and about the relationship and about the character of their guys more so than just are they making shots, are they going to help me win? So I think seeing that, obviously that's something that, I want to be as I get older.
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you've had, I don't know your high school coach, but obviously if he's coaching someone to score 3,000 points, that still just blows my mind. But yeah, your two college coaches, like Coach McKay and Coach Alexander, are two of the best, two guys that if a young college coach like Drew had the chance to sit and have conversations with them, I mean, he'd have a notebook full of stuff just because the success that they've had, but yeah, the way they've done it. I've actually had the privilege of being the character coach through an organization called Nations of Coaches at Bethel, and their head coach, Steve Draben, actually played at Belmont as a Hall of Famer at Belmont, shot like 96% from the free throw line or something like that.
Wow.
But was an assistant at Lipscomb for Coach Alexander for quite some time. And so he speaks so highly of him, and some of the things that he's put into place at Bethel have been from Coach Alexander. So like that's really cool that you get the opportunity to do that. As we get ready to close out, you said you're engaged. Congratulations, man. That's incredible. You're
Thank you.
at
Thank you.
Belmont, finishing out your college career. Drew and I both finished out our college career, both engaged to our now wives, and navigated that. And so it's really fun. It's really, I say fun. It's also sometimes difficult when you have
Hmm.
something planned for the next season, but you're still in this season. I would just
Right.
encourage you really lock in. You're going to look back and love where you are as a husband and possibly a dad someday and all that stuff. But you're going to look back and make sure that you left it all out there on the court and all that stuff. And so enjoy this time that you have with your teammates and with Coach Alexander there at Belmont. And then for you listeners out there, I've said it once before. I've said it again. If you are in the Nashville area, if you are within like 3 hours of Nashville, one, go to Nashville. It's really cool. But then get to a Belmont game. Or if they're coming to town, I know that we have some Indiana listeners. They go to they play at Valpo this year toward the end of the season. Get over to Valpo, watch Belmont basketball because Brody's really fun to watch, but the way that Coach Alexander gets his guys to play is really incredible as well. And so get out to Belmont, kicking off November 4th, and then I want to give another shout out. We'll put the link in the description to Brody Peebles Basketball Academy. If you go to brodypeebles1.com, that's BrodyPeebles1, the number 1.com, or go check him out on Instagram at BrodyPeebles1 to get connected that way. Anything else, Brody, you want to add before we get ready to close out?
Appreciate the shout out. Appreciate you putting out the link and everything. But really appreciate y'all. Appreciate what y'all are doing. I think what you're talking about is super, super important. And so I really appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's fun. We're excited to watch you play, but we're also just excited to see you continue to shine your light, whatever situation you step into. On behalf of myself, Drew, and Brody, those of you listening, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Faith Sports Leadership Podcast. We hope that, like Brody, you just go step into whatever environment you were stepping into and shine your light. Hope you have a great week, friends.
At least mom will be listening.
So if you bring up Counter Stallions, we're just not going to listen to you.